meeting to order. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from the February 9th special meeting? Moved by Larry, second by Justin, all those in favor? And the minutes of the regular February 9th meeting. Moved by David, second by Randy, all in favor? Motion passed. Attorney report. New business, St. Francis Equity. And, we need to call Michael Baxter on this one, get him on the line.
You call him on cell?
I'll text him and have him call him. Hello,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. How are you getting along?
Good, good, good. Hopefully you can hear everybody. We've got a different phone here, so,
I can hear you pretty good so far.
okay. Lynn, do you want to, do you know any, I guess,
Well, I guess we're selling, obviously, we're selling the scale house part of our building over there by the elevator to High Plains. And apparently the city owns the ground, is what I'm understanding, the dirt underneath our building. And, we'll have to do some kind of an easement, is just what we're asking, so we can progress with that sale so we can finish our sale on that. And obviously, any other part of that property, if we can get some kind of an easement, with the city and us, so if we progress on any other selling of any of the properties, that we can just, it would be an easy transition to the next owners without having to pick up what we have right now, I guess. What I'm understanding is that if we had a surveyor, if we agreed on that to have as an easement, it just needs to be wrote into the survey of some sort, so it can be retitled, or, I don't know the steps, but that's just kinda what I was told, but maybe that would
suffice on your end?
suffice. I mean, yeah, we just want an easement, that we don't want anything fancy, just, so you guys we need to get in there and do whatever you need to do, that's fine with us, but we need to be able to, get in there and sell our property also and be able to operate.
Michael, did you hear all that?
Yeah, for the most part. It sounds like, I'm looking at a map here, correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to be the portion of 123 North River that extends into Jackson, and Engel Road.
Correct, so they are
Okay.
selling the scale house, which would include the scale that's within the city right of way. But then they're retaining that containment to the northwest on the Engel Road, which I think the city would want to enter into some sort of an agreement with probably both entities, that those are in the right of way. Some sort of mutual understanding that they have access to use them, we have the utilities underneath. Some sort of lease
Yes.
agreement, easement, something.
Yes, just an easement, we don't want like an ingress, we don't want anything closed off or vacated or anything, we just want it like just an easement, so we're both have access and can move on with what we would like to do.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely doable. I mean, you have a few different options. I mean, the city essentially owns that property. City can't lose it through adverse possession. So it would be it could be a lease of that portion of the property. It could be, you could sell it, but you have to have some very good reservations about utilities, reversion come back to the city in the event it ceased being used for the purposes. You could vacate the portion of it, and vacation would also allow you to reserve utility, other easements as necessary. So there's a number of different options. It's just a matter of what direction the city wants to go, and it sounds like we're okay with the proposal. It's just a matter of getting it in a format that works best for both parties.
Okay,
That's what I gathered from what I've heard so far in our conversations, Amanda.
yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong with any of that.
No, that was kind of the council's decision to not vacate it, to keep that with all of the utilities and stuff that we have through there, to keep that an open road, but to give some sort of lease agreement or some sort of written permission to the equity and then to, the organization that's purchasing where the scales are at, so that everything can remain as is, just an understanding of who has what and, access and everything.
Just as long as, as long as we can progress with the sale of that.
Absolutely, yeah, we don't wanna, we don't wanna interfere with that or hinder that in any way. It's just a matter of getting something on paper so everybody understands where we're at, yeah. Is everybody
Yeah.
good
Okay.
with that?
Okay, yeah, that's pretty, I think the best course of action is, for is it seller or buyer who's there tonight?
It is
Seller.
seller, and then they are gonna retain the containment, so they'll be, they're the seller of the scale, but they will retain the containment, so we'll have to, I'm assuming have
It'll be two separate.
two agreements.
Yeah, it should
Yeah.
be separate.
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking, I mean, who's at the meeting tonight?
So
to-
you have
to
Lynn,
discuss
you have
that?
Lynn,
You know,
you have Lynn, who's the manager down at St. Francis Equity, which would be the seller. She's the one speaking.
Okay, perfect, that's what I wasn't sure about. I think the best course then would be to have them reach out to me, if they have counsel, I can talk to counsel as well. Maybe get some maps out where we can kind of sort out exactly where this looks, so we can make sure we have our legals right. I assume it sounds like there's a survey, that way we know exactly what we have, and then start working on just an agreement. I'm not exactly sure how that agreement will look, whether the best is some kind of lease, easement, conveyance with some reserved rights. I'm not exactly sure how I want that to look, but we'll get there at the end of the day.
Okay.
Because the main thing at the end of the day, the city gets to retain all of its public uses, and buyer and seller are gonna get what they need to get this closed and continue operations.
Okay. So you need a copy of the survey then?
Yeah, if you have survey, any survey maps, anything you have, I wouldn't see exactly
With their,
what we're dealing with here. I can call Jeannie too and get a copy of the plat. I'm curious to see what that looks like. And then I'll start putting together a proposed agreement, after I talk with Lynn.
okay, and I've got that survey, I can send it to you in the morning, Michael.
Okay,
I've got
great.
it on my desk.
That'd be wonderful.
Do you know, Lynn, did they survey where that containment is? Is that where you guys aren't selling that? Did they mention that or reference that? And I can't recall.
I can't recall on the containment side. I'll have to read this again and see. I don't
I don't
recall.
remember, but yeah, where that wasn't part of the,
It wasn't part of the
I don't
survey.
think it's not part of the High Plains that I know of. I can
I
see
know
where
it's
the
not, but I
markers
didn't
were.
know when they surveyed it, if they,
I
If
think
they blocked
it
it,
could
yeah.
be part of that. It could be in there, cause I think he might have attached the containment to the other part of that building, so it was, cause that building, I mean, the scale house is attached to the building, but we took the scale house part
correct, cause
off.
you guys split it. I
Yeah,
think
so
it might be on.
I'm thinking possibly the containment went with the unsold portion of that building. But I don't know for sure. I'll have to read it again.
I know, I
I
can't
can't
remember either.
I should have reread that before I came, but I didn't, but, yeah, I'll find out. I'll read
Okay.
it and see.
And you, Michael.
Okay,
tomorrow.
perfect. When are you wanting to close on this? It sounds like you wanted to close already, but do you have an extended deadline now?
Well, anytime, it's actually, we've already closed on the other portion, this is just, was excluded out from the sale since we didn't have this portion done yet, so as soon as we can get that finalized, we're ready to go, so.
Okay.
Anything else? Do you need, Michael?
I don't think so. You have my contact information. If you want to just give that to Lynn, that way we can touch base here in the next day or two and get this worked out. I don't think this will be that big of a deal, with everybody being on the same page. It's just getting it in writing in the way that works.
Okay. Yep, we can do that.
Okay, perfect.
Alrighty,
Michael.
thanks, Michael.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. I'll just reach out to you tomorrow and make sure what I have, to make sure that will suffice, and I can get that emailed, or I can get you his email and phone number. Will that work?
Yep, that'll work just fine,
Okay, perfect.
thank you.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Yep.
Tom, you're up.
Okay. I'm here to visit with the city council about the lease agreement that the city has with, for the Riverwalk and Keller Pond that was enacted. I think it's a 25-year lease, and it was enacted back in January of 2013. I don't know how many of you were on the board at that time, but that's in the history. The lease, basically, it was the city's responsibility to mow and take care of water trees, control weeds and such, and that was an issue because I think the city didn't have enough employees to do the work, and so JR contacted me and said that essentially if he went out and hired someone to come in and do the work, would I personally help fund the work that needed to be done. And so I agreed to personally finance $5,000 a year, and I think the city was paying Brock McAtee, and it was one of his teenage sons that was mowing around the pond, and I think the city was paying Brock $6,000 a year or $500 a month. That was probably in maybe 22 and 23, and my son Jim moved back in 23 and has 3 sons, and so I asked the city that if they possibly would not renew the contract with Brock, that I would have my grandsons do the mowing. And Jim, my son, sprayed for grassy sandburrs and such around the pond and then along the Riverwalk area, because those are a problem down there, and folks that take their dogs down there and walk complain about they get into grassy sandburrs. And so I think probably in 24 and last year, my grandsons did the mowing, and no payment was made. It didn't cost the city anything, and but I'm thinking that in the future, if I'm gonna have my grandsons do that work, that I'd like to have them being reimbursed. And, our family has, set up a donor advised fund through the Cheyenne County Community Foundation. And for our family to be able to use some of the funds from this donor advised fund, the payment, if we would make a donation for their work, it'd have to go to a nonprofit like a 501c3, or it could be the city. Lila told me that one of the problems of doing that is that the city has to put this out for contract or bid for somebody to do that work. And my proposal is, if the city wants to put it out for contract and somebody else wants to do that, and they hire somebody to do it other than my family, then that's fine, but the city will pay the full bill. I'm not gonna make a donation to that. But if Keller Ranch, which would be our farm entity, did the work, then we would make a donation of $5,000 to the city, and the city could then reimburse or pay the work, for the work being done by my grandkids.
That would come down through the foundation?
It would come through our fund in the foundation, yeah. And that's the way we could make the donation, is that it'd have to be through the city. Either that, or we would have to set up a nonprofit, and if we did that, then we probably would not lease the Riverwalk or the pond to the city, and it would be under a nonprofit.
I'm sorry, can you say that again, please?
For us to be able to use funds from our fund within the foundation, the payment would have to go to a nonprofit or the city. Those funds couldn't go directly to, say, my grandsons to
Right.
do it, unless it was passed through the city or through a nonprofit, which there's no nonprofit set up. And we currently have a lease that has 12 more years with the city. And technically, the lease says that the city should be providing all that service through the lease.
Did we have bids put in, McAtee started doing it?
Correct, we did put it out for bid.
When does that, when did that go out and when does it end, the bids?
Well, it ended when Tom said that his grandkids moved back and they would take care of the mowing, is when we,
But, I mean, you put it out for bids to be taken care of,
prior to that,
prior to.
Yeah, prior.
Back
prior
in
to that.
2022,
But
2023, right?
Probably,
21.
JR, I think
But there's-
negotiated a contract with Brock
Yeah.
to do it back in
But there's
maybe
none, there's no
20,
no contracts
probably
now.
20,
No.
No,
22 or 23. I know that I personally have made out a check of $5,000 twice to the city, for what I told JR we would donate to get the work done, because it wasn't getting done.
So what I'm understanding is you're willing to give to the city or through the foundation $5,000, in return you want your grandsons to do the work.
Yes,
And basically, we're just gonna be using that fund to pay for that
Pay.
work.
you'll be paying, my grandsons, yes.
And, I don't know, it's a win-win for us.
We will have to put it out for bid,
Yeah, that's what I'm
and they would
wondering.
have to have liability insurance. I mean, that was all of the requirements that
Okay,
Brock,
that's what I'm asking.
yes.
Yeah.
So it would have, if the city pays for it, it would have to be put out for bid. Now, if your grandsons want to submit a bid,
But
And-
they
Well,
didn't-
we'll
but they
probably
didn't
do
the
it.
first time, though. But we never took care of it the first time.
If the grandsons want to submit a bid, we still have the option to accept the bid, whichever bid we want. We
But the
don't-
common sense side of this is, no one's gonna have more of a vested interest in making sure that work gets done than
And they are.
the Keller family. And so, common sense wise, it makes sense to me.
But you've also got a liability issue.
Again, if they put in the bid, and we accept their bid, then
Then it would
that's
be
it. That's it, right there.
you know,
Did
Is there a
we,
way, hold on, Larry, is there a way to release liability to the city?
no,
There's
no,
not. Okay.
no.
Not being satisfied with lease agreement.
Okay.
did we budget for that
No.
for 2026? Because we had all this documentation that we wouldn't have to mow anymore. That's the other thing to consider. For 2026 anyways. Although we would get money back. I
Mhm.
understand that, but
We'd have to pay it out.
we'd have to pay it out. It would be, something we didn't budget for, and I believe the income would be an unbudgeted reimbursement. Just keep that in mind. I'm not, I don't know that I would have the detail in here, because I think it might be, but I don't think we budgeted for that, because we were under the assumption,
That we would take care of.
but I believe that's out of the general fund, so it would probably be doable.
In 23, when Tom emailed and said his grandsons were moving back and they would take care of the mowing, we haven't been paying for the mowing.
I think everybody might have this in their packet, and you could read through it if you would like. I think it's maybe I only have it.
Yeah. I mean, I would think
Mhm.
if the city's gonna take over paying that expense, we would have to put it out for bid.
That's
I mean-
fine, yeah.
I mean,
And if, you know, what I'm saying is if somebody else comes in and says they're gonna bid to do it for so much, then the city will pay all that expense yourself.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, we
He's
understand.
paying, what's that?
I said he's paying up front $5,000 to take care of it. You go with someone else, you lose that $5,000.
but legally, we would have to put it out
So
for
put it out for bid and just, we, like I said, we can choose whoever we want.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the most bid or
All they
whatever.
would have to do is put in a bid to do it for 5,000.
But it'll be mowing, spraying for weeds.
Yep.
It'll be everything that's in, if you go back and look at your lease
Yeah.
that was signed in, 2013, it's,
That's quite a
if
bit, that's quite a
trees
bit.
fall across the trail, you're gonna have to go out with the chainsaw and cut them. If trees fall on the fence, you're gonna have to cut those trees, repair the fence. Everything that's in that lease is
But your
basically what we're doing now as a family.
your grandsons would be willing to go ahead and just put the
We
bid
can
in.
spray.
That's
Yep.
basically all we'd need to do is have you
Yep.
put the bid in. They put the bid, we put it out for bids, they put in a bid.
I think it's a great idea, but I think we need further discussion, executive session,
Okay.
to really go through some things on this.
Well, and I'd say if you put it out for bids, you need to list everything that's in that lease that the city's supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we started putting it out for bid, because it was too much for our crew to maintain that and our
Well,
parks and
and
everything else,
actually,
and that's why we put it out.
what Brock was doing, and he was just mowing.
Watering trees too, I believe.
Uh,
He said that,
He might have, but
yeah.
very few that are alive.
Yeah.
And they weren't spraying for weeds, I know that. So I think it was basically his grandson was mowing. And he might have watered trees, so.
And just want to catch up. Your grandsons, they took this back on when? 23.
24,
24.
24.
Yeah.
Okay.
24 last year,
Okay.
yeah.
Are they gonna have to have liability insurance to pass through the city?
Anybody who does contract work for the city will have to have approved liability insurance.
Is that something they'd be able to obtain through the Keller Farm account?
Keller Ranch has
Keller Ranch.
liability insurance, yeah.
Okay.
And you're saying if you put in a bid, you would put it in as Keller Ranch, even though
Yeah.
it would be your grandson's mowing?
Yeah.
I think that'd be seamless.
Okay.
All right.
What everybody wants to do is open.
Is that the motion?
Yeah, I think we put a motion for that.
Justin?
Well, and I appreciate, I sent, the city clerk and I sent, the mayor, an email with attached pictures of the bridge that runs across the channel, and it has been moving, off of the base. And I appreciate the fact that you put, tape across that, so that nobody is on that bridge if it would fall in, because it's,
We're in the process of working with Brock to try to get that fixed.
Do you
okay.
have any update on that?
I don't. Waiting on equipment, last I heard.
So is there a motion to put out the maintaining, the mowing and spraying and watering?
Everything included in the lease.
Everything included in that?
Everything, yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to?
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Justin, second by David, all in favor? Okay, very good. Are you stuck here for a while?
Well, it depends on how long you're meeting.
Tom got it right from Bible study.
You're rolling the dice,
He's-
Tom.
He's stuck here unless I guess he has.
Well, I thought about, taking my own vehicle and leaving my wife stuck at Bible
She-
study,
that's
but I thought, I'll get you right,
Probably safer.
He probably could've came here and went back, they probably made it one more paragraph maybe. Let's see, we have a vendor license special event application for the spring refresh market for Rachel Morris.
What their intentions are is to, use 202, the, courtyard outdoors, and Melissa Swider's property. They are looking at having a couple few members coming in that would park in front of the buildings of those businesses. I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Are they asking to rope any streets off or just, no?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve it.
Moved by Larry, second by Justin, all in favor? Jackie?
Okay, thank you very much. Before I proceed, I would like to request to my friend Sherry here that no names be printed,
Okay.
as far as what I'm talking about. You can refer to me as a resident of West Webster Street and the other person as the owner of the property at 414, if that's what you wanna do. Thank you. Just a little background. In 2018, my husband John and I moved back to St. Francis. When they told my mother at 97 she couldn't drive anymore, we decided maybe we need to get a little closer. So we were really very happy to find that little house to rent. and it was available, and it was close to mom, and there were no steps, which my husband had problems with doing, so, we moved in there in 2018, and we made it into a beautiful little home. I mean, we painted, we did some upgrades, and, had no problems, we grew a garden there, and so I know about living there, you know. Then, when my husband passed in 21, I moved in with my mom, just because she was needing a little more help, and it was convenient. That's when it was rented to Miranda and Daniel, and that's when the junkyard happened, that is still there. I have come by several times and requested that somebody go by and look at the property. I understand, Amanda, you did. So, what do you have to say about it?
I did get with Dan to get pictures to start some property cleanup, so we had started the process. And then the owner had some health issues, and so we had to dismiss the case, and so, I did visit with Dan about getting pictures so we can get that process rolling again, so, it just,
Well, I would
Unfortunately,
challenge you all,
Vincent,
I would
yeah.
dare you all to go by and look at it and see if that's someplace you want to live next to. Just saying. You know, that junkyard is still there.
That's fair.
And I guess the city can't do anything about helping get it cleaned up?
we'll start the process for property cleanup again.
Okay, well, I just wasn't sure, there is a little bit of a hopeful note I want to pass on to you. There's a young man who has moved into that house. He spent weeks cleaning it up so that he could move in. He is living there now, and I drive down the alley just to check things out once in a while, and I've spoken with him. Seems like a very reasonable young man, and he said that he was hoping in a couple of weeks to have it cleaned up. So I said, you know, that would be wonderful. It would just, you know, the rest of the neighborhood would have so appreciated having it cleaned up. So,
That's still a rental property?
It is.
I
So there's a
did-
new tenant there now?
huh?
There's a new tenant in the house, is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry.
There's a new
Yes.
renter in the house, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
There's more to it than that, but yes, there's a new guy living there.
Okay.
So
So,
technically,
um,
where is this house?
I did,
West Webster,
412, I believe.
412, right down.
I did inform the owner of the property that I was going to be here tonight and we would be discussing that property. His words to me, and I quote, "I don't care." Well, obviously he doesn't. He has 3 rental properties in this community. He never does any background checks, never has any written, lease agreements with his, his, renters, which most people who have rental properties do that. They do a background check and they have a contract with the, that they both sign. He doesn't do that. So, he's a friend of mine, but I'm afraid he's a very lousy landlord and, not a very good business person. And like I said, I let him know what, we'd be here and we'd be discussing that property. I don't care. So, I guess he doesn't. Like I said, this young man who's there now, and, he did say he was gonna try to get the property cleaned up in the next couple of weeks. I did notice also that, the tags on his truck are now Cheyenne County, Kansas. He was Colorado, but he's now, is resident here. So I thought, well, that's helpful too, because that way he can haul things to the landfill here if he needs to, and he will. It's a big job, and he didn't make the mess, but, it would be very much appreciated if he cleans it up, and so, I think that's about all I have to say to you. anyway, I appreciate, you know, I did ask that somebody go by and look at the property, and Amanda did. Like I said, I would dare the rest of you to go look at it.
So we just need to keep progressing.
I know some of you have already seen it.
Restart.
And every time I came in with a note that said, would you please have the city go by and look at this property? She knew exactly what it was. She said, oh, that's this house on the alley. Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
So
And
anyway, I'm
unfortunately,
just hoping that it will get cleaned up. I own the house next door, and it certainly isn't enhancing our property values any to have that junkyard over there.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's all I have to say.
Well, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.
Okay, Jackie.
I'm gonna skip to Cody, cause you weren't on the agenda, so. Usually you're up at the front, and I'm like, there's no Cody, so I'll put you in so you can leave if you
I
want.
think this is a good jumping point to talk about, talking some of the property cleanups and stuff. And, you know, like I said, it's kind of jumping point. I'm kind of hesitant to talk too much about that specific situation because it's people's private business that I own. It's not really to be discussed in the open public meeting with the private situation. But I'm hoping, after I talk to you about the property, I did some checking today and I discovered what she just said. I have some hope by past actions of this individual that there will be steps taken to clean up that property. Without giving names and giving away people's private business, if you guys wanna discuss it with me, sometime, I just don't think an open public meeting is the place to talk about somebody's rental agreements or something like that. But the person, by their past actions on properties that they have lived in, I have hope that this problem's her problem's gonna remedy itself. It may take a while, because it's an overwhelming job. We've all looked at something that's overwhelming. It's not something that gets done overnight, but, just to segue to that, I have reason to believe that he's gonna follow through on what he said. He's gonna speak to Jackie about getting that property cleaned up, as long as we don't have any interference.
You're talking about the landlord?
No, I'm talking about the gentleman who's leasing the house now.
Okay.
So, not the landlord, the gentleman leasing the house. You know, I see some issues between the people who claim to own the stuff that needs to go to landfill, slowing things down, but he has a history of keeping property up and clean. So, that's what I'll say about that. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna skip this. I wanna talk about something that came up today. I was discussing with somebody, as you know, right now, all over Facebook, everywhere, people are talking about taxation and things like that. I was discussing that situation. Somebody wanted to come talk to me about that and their concerns over things, and I never really put it in this context before until him and I were discussing. But I did some quick math. This isn't exact numbers or anything, but I am proud to say, as people feel the pressure of tax, that good or bad, up and down, agree, disagree, this memorandum of understanding between the city and the county on law enforcement has saved taxpayers over $500,000 since we started it. So I feel that needs to be noted. Whether we always agree or whether we always feel whatever, but it has been to the benefit of the taxpayers, to the tune of, give or take, just like I said, rough estimate math, about $500,000. So, I wanted to state that. Now I'll move on to the sheriff report after doing some political stuff. As you can see, we had 273 things total in January. 51 of those were in the city limits of St. Francis, 17 were in the city limits of Bird City, leaving the remainder countywide.
Hey Cody, I just wanna point, I can see them all looking, all's Janelle sends us now is just the city stuff, so they were all looking at their papers
Okay.
going,
Like,
what?
Okay, I'm aware she goes to do the rest. I have the rest with me, I can pass it down around. I'm sorry for that.
It's okay.
It's been a pleasure miscommunicating with you guys. No, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you guys did not get that as well. But there's 51 things, compared to, like I said, there's 273 things that we did. 51 of those happened in the city limits, of St. Francis, and that's taking off you know, what we would do anyways, you know, that is our job in the county, like paper service, things like that aren't, in here. So, with that, and, we've been asked to change some things and do some things different, with the school that we're planning on. We've already started doing different, on school patrol zones, on things that they feel, that can be done different, such as the loading and unloading children behind the school. Going back there, specifically being back behind the school as they load and unload children at the high school and things like that. So we're changing some of our school zone patrols at the request of the city, where they think we, you know, best be suited to be when we're there. And, you know, trying to look through this real quick. The rest of it's just the normal everyday stuff. We're looking forward to, hopefully, we know how the world is right now, but looking forward to hopefully having our 5th person back in May, if he gets done with his military deployment, and we'll be back to having, the staff to be in 2 places at one time, instead of being one person trying to be in 2 places at one time. Looking forward to that. That should happen in May, unless he's held over for some geopolitical reason. So we're looking forward to it. I know it's just one person out of 5, but when you're trying to cover 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, having one person missing 40 hours of that a week is, you know, the decisions are, okay, well, we used to have 2 out during the shift, now we're only gonna have 1 out. Now the one that's out's gotta divide his time, you know, between City of St. Francis, the county, City of Bird City, administrative duties, things like that. Things that you used to divide on 2. So there's certain nights of the week where we only have 1 guy out instead of 2. There's some days where the coverage is on call and there's nobody actually out patrolling. So we'll shore those gaps up hopefully in May, when he comes back. So I'm really, right now with what's going on in the world, I'm not gonna hold my breath. I can see getting a letter saying they're gonna hold him over longer. But that's the world we live in. So, that is about it. We wrote some tickets for the property cleanup. Hopefully, I never wanna say hopefully we write some more, but hopefully, you know, we get some more properties cleaned up through enforcement and or collect fines for doing that. We've been working on the one problem property that we discussed a lot. I don't know what we wanna discuss in the meeting. Got the trailer off of it. There is a case that is, theft of city services that we're working. That will go through, I think it's just best that it goes through the district court in the county, do the charges instead of the city being the victim, is also the judge and the
Yeah.
prosecuting. I just think that makes sense that it goes through the county prosecution on that. So we'll be filing that, this week. We're going through, I've been talking to Dan, come up with an amount, because anytime you have a theft, you have to have how much, things like that. Whether I liked the process that was used to remove the trailer and to get removed, the process was a little, but sometimes you're like, the end result is what we're going for, not the how, but the end result. So, that's about all I have for you guys.
And the deputies are working on trailers. and
Trailers, I did not have a
Vehicles on
chance to,
streets, yeah.
I did not have a chance to talk to you and I talked today. The deputies that I signed it to were not at work today, so I did not get a chance to ask them, you know, how that went when they interacted with those people that still have not, even after being warned, to move their trailers. It's, you know, it's my opinion, and I discussed this with the mayor earlier today. It's my opinion, we've been on 2 or 3 times. We can only be so nice. You know, we like these people, we like our neighbors, but you can only be so nice for so long. We've asked them to move their stuff multiple times, has not been moved. It's time to decide. In the past, a lot of times we give a warning about something like that. We understand people work jobs, We usually give them a bit of time, but we've given them an extraordinary amount of time, to move things. And some of them moved and came back, some of them never moved. Somehow there's a belief that the reset happens when we move stuff and then you bring it back, but that's kind of where that's at on the trailer issue. And there's two problematic vehicle things that we're also working on. That just seem to be return problems. We address the issue, the problem is addressed. 3 weeks later, driving down the road, the issue has come back. There's two of those separate issues. They're completely separate from each other, but there's two of those with vehicles on the street that we address, problem goes away, we turn around, problem goes back. So, we're working on those as well.
Anything for Cody?
I do have one more thing. Since we discussed Keller's Pond last night, in the past, way back in the past, with like Daryl, there was, when he was chief of police, there was discussion at one time about cameras in different locations out at Keller's Pond. As we have kids who are spinning cookies and stuff out there, is that anything that ever got anywhere, or any further discussion since that time? I have no problem putting temporary cameras out there if we have a problem with something, if there's a specific problem. I have no problem taking some of our inventory of cameras and putting temporary cameras out there, but they wouldn't be permanent thing, they would just be out there hopefully long enough to solve the problem, and then we move into the next problem. I have no problem doing that, but I didn't know, looking at, camera prices and how economical they are now, if it's something you
It
guys.
seems like we keep having reoccurrance of vandalism, whether it's paint
Well,
on
that's why I'm saying
signs
I
or
have
that kind of
cameras I
stuff.
can put out
I
there
don't know
for a
that- yeah.
temporary thing, but then I need them back to work on other projects, and then we have another problem, we can put them back out there, but the cameras are getting pretty economical lately, and I don't know if that's something you guys would consider. I know people also don't like to have their recreational time recorded either, and I think that was part of the discussion with Darryl, was chief of police, is I wanna go out there and I wanna fish, not be the star of a
Well, I think if you had it,
video.
But you can put the cameras so that you're not on the shoreline,
Yeah, just
just
something on
on,
the gate
on
or
parking
something, or-
area.
the parking area where people are pulling
Or if you
in,
have a vandalism problem in a certain area, you can point out.
no difference, you walk in the building, your camera's on your, your
Mhm.
entrances, you
Yeah.
probably want it, who's coming and going,
Yeah.
and not on the actual,
Yeah, 'cause I remember that was
Reputational
some of the
too.
issues when Daryl was bringing it up, was privacy and people. Which is a considerable issue, I'm not
Mhm.
saying it's not, but, like I said, I could dedicate cameras to take care of the current situation, but like I said, once we do something, take those down, then there's gonna be another situation, and I just think it'd benefit somehow to have more permanent camera system, at least on the accesses and stuff. So, just something I wanted to bring up.
Sounds like a good idea.
while you're here, did you wanna ask the council on the dog catcher?
Oh, yes, and by the way, we do have a meeting scheduled with, or in the works being scheduled
Yeah.
with the mayor and Jim, to talk about some dog issues. The dog catcher poles that we took over from the city, are getting pretty antiquated, and old, they're rusty, they don't work that well. I was wondering, if I could talk to Bird City into purchasing one, if I could talk to you guys into purchasing one or two, and that way, cause like I said, I tried using that one up at school, the dog looked, it was a really friendly dog, but he also thought it was a game for me to chase him. You catch him and you zip it, and I'd get it around his neck and nothing would.
Did you have your body cam on? So we could,
I do, I don't, somehow that thing got lost. But we took it apart, WD-40'd it, and, I tried to clean it and get it going again, but they're just old and rusty, and, I
I
don't,
told them to get some pricing, I didn't think it
I'll
would be
get
an
some
issue
pricing.
for us to,
Like I said, I'll ask Bird City to buy one, you guys buy one or two, and then we have them,
yeah.
we can have them here and over their boats, somebody can go to the office and grab one. It just makes catching them a lot easier than trying to run up, especially if they're a vicious dog. You're not having to put your hands on them.
Not until we get a price.
Yeah, I'll get
And-
the price.
here's the thing, if it's under $1,500, we can get it. So here's what I'm gonna suggest, if you know a place to get one, and you can send us, email a link to us, and it's a reasonable price, we can just order it with a credit card.
Okay.
And how many if they're cheap enough, would you just get one for every
If they're
vehicle?
cheap enough, we get one for every vehicle, but, if they're not, And also, there's a restriction of, you know, carrying it in your vehicle. I mean, it's, or I shouldn't say restriction. The reason it gets rusty and old is because it's being carried
In the back of a pickup,
Back of a
it's
pickup,
weather or something,
you know,
yeah.
the weather and stuff. So, I mean, if you wanted to last, I'm not against every vehicle having them and carrying them, I just think that you're shortening their lifespan, which if they're cheap, doesn't matter, but, I think you're shortening the lifespan by carrying them around in the back of a pickup exposed to the weather, but like I said, if they're cheap enough,
They look
you
like
put them on
it.
a replacement schedule, it doesn't matter, so.
You find a place that just the quick Google here, I mean, they range from $50 to $200, but our spending limit's $1,500. So you find one you like, send a link, tell me how many you want.
I know
And
one of
as-
the, go ahead, sorry.
As long as it's not over the limit, then we can take care of that.
There's one of those that we especially like, it's everybody's favorite one, that's the brand, I'd probably look to see
Okay.
if we can get that one again. It seems to be the best one and the safest one to use, so. That's all I have.
Anything else from Cody? If not, is there a motion to accept and file the superintendent, the sheriff's report? Moved by David, second by Justin, all in favor? Thanks, Cody.
Thank you.
Trash waiver applications. Yes. You need it monthly.
What's that?
You need it
We
monthly.
need it
Maybe not
monthly.
this one. Oh,
You
okay.
call it just ask.
I am unclear about that. I don't know. How many, do you just have one?
Just the one, yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Which one are you talking about? 87? No?
I thought so for a while, but I'm not sure now, so I don't know. I would maybe table it till the next meeting.
Okay, we'll just table that one, do some check-in. Second permit renewals.
Dan, did you sign off on Baxter's?
We're just doing the renewal. Definitely.
I'm gonna do approve.
Moved by Larry, second by Justin, all in favor? Okay, and then,
I will say on the one, I did pay a lot of attention to the ordinance apparently, because there's a minimum side of 10 feet from off the side properties. One was a little closer than that, so I talked to him, he talked like he's gonna try to move it. But something to look at when we recodify, I would like to keep 5 foot off each side, or 10 foot off each side of the property, because some people only have 25-foot lots.
yeah, 10 foot seems kind of, but it's supposed to be hidden behind the house and,
Basically, it's supposed to be hidden behind the house, yeah, and that's what I did look at, the one that I'm talking about is behind the fence and the house. That's privacy fence, so, but I'm just saying it was there and I just caught it, so I did talk to him. He said, that way you don't have problems down the road for the next guy. Whoever the next superintendent is. Whenever that happens.
I guess we did have renewal too.
Yeah, there were Gus Miller and Cree were in the renewals.
Mhm.
Okay, yep.
And then Baxter.
Here's, so this is the chicken coop Baxter has, well, you guys decide whether it's good enough or not good enough.
And his, well, he owns
He
the
is
property
right up
next
next to
door.
the property, but he also owns the property next to it.
And I would guess at that point, if you would ever sell one or the other, then we might have to ask whoever to move it.
And it also is behind the fence as well, so.
It's just a little, it's over the fence and it's maybe not approved building material, but
So we need we got the measurements for.
well, and that's what Dan and I talked, we don't really have, we don't have them get a building permit, cause they're getting a chicken permit that has the restrictions as far as the coop, but I'm like, do we kinda wanna have those match, because we obviously have some pallet construction that we don't allow for building,
Under that compensation.
yeah, so I don't know. It's one thing if it was down below the fence, it would,
Yeah, then they would,
Then
that's
we
what I'm
would
saying,
see
if it's below the 6 foot, then I don't think it's a problem.
yeah, that's kinda what I'm.
That's why I thought it's almost better to get it approved before you switch our bills on it.
Yeah,
Is it really an issue?
I don't, that's up to
we
you
don't
guys.
allow pallet, anything else,
No,
would be my concern.
on the chicken coops, aren't they supposed to be so far away from the fence line? That's the chicken coop, right?
Mhm.
It's gotta be so many feet from the fence line.
Correct, but he owns the property
Yeah,
next
property
door,
next door.
so he owns that property,
Oh, okay, well, that's
So-
all that, yeah.
yeah.
Let's see, let's divide it up someday.
That's what I said,
Yeah.
at that point, then we would, if it was, one of the properties was sold, we would probably have to have them relocated,
Yeah.
but,
But
which,
these come up every year.
the renewals, yeah,
Renewals,
Mhm.
so it can be addressed at that point.
yeah. What's your thoughts on?
We had that case back in my first term where someone had this really elaborate fence that they made out of pallets. Do y'all remember the case?
Mm-hmm,
They, I think, torched it and stained it. It really looked cool. But we still came down on the ordinance was the ordinance. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
yeah,
So I'm thinking I'm remembering that correct, so.
We almost need to have like, it can't be so high or can't be, some of this chicken, we're only keeping a few chickens, we're not keeping 10 or 15, so.
I guess if you set one standard for building, you probably need to carry that through, even though, like I said, the chicken coops, we don't really make them get a building permit, cause they're getting the chicken permit that has the specifications, and when we recodify, maybe we need to
We
reiterate
just
that.
need to make sure that they, use standard building practices, and that should be stated in.
That's what I think,
Yeah.
we can clarify that
Yeah.
in the chicken permit.
No, in other words, no pallets.
Yeah,
Unless you cover it up and you couldn't see it.
Well, even then, you're starting to talk about fire hazard,
Well, it's a chicken.
but look how dry it is, get your chicken coop going. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know, I built a lot of things out of pallets, so.
hopefully not in the city limits, cause it's a good city ordinance, but,
Definitely, if it was, if you didn't own the property next door, I'd say, probably need to change it, but he owns the property. Probably not a big deal right now, we have something to think about, for sure.
well, the location of it, but the building materials.
Right. I don't know what, have you been going around seeing all the chicken coops? Are they up to standard?
Yeah.
All restaurants
Yeah.
produce chicken cubes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dan does inspect them prior to approval, so.
I was
they
gonna
are-
take a picture of that
On one hand, I would say that the way they use the pallets is pretty indiscreet, but on the other hand, you start setting precedents, and
Yeah.
that's what we have to avoid,
Absolutely.
so. I can see both sides, but sure as a world, we allow it happen to someone. Katie by the door here, it's gonna happen again, it wouldn't happen, have a leg to stand on.
Is it just on the,
Just over there, so.
so if we just had
I
it,
didn't look,
If we took it down,
if we just put it,
but if he covers it,
Maybe that, yeah.
yeah,
if we took it down to a fence level,
I think we just covered it,
that or just cover
you know,
covered it
tin
or
or
something.
something,
Everybody okay
then
with
you're
that?
not gonna see a pile.
We okay with that? Approving a contingent on him covering it, that's our motion.
move.
Moved by Justin,
Second.
second by Randy to approve contingent on covering the points. All in favor, unanimous. Tree and landscape contractor's license, it's green for Mark Eichner. Just renewal. Moved by Justin. Second by Randy, all in favor. And we have a new one, right, for, yeah, for Scott the sewer.
I'm gonna do food.
Moved by Larry,
Second.
second by David, all in favor. Old business, and we put Bob on there, and he's here. Who else wanted to look at that property, Larry? You wanted to go by and look?
I went by.
You went by and looked at it?
Yeah, I think he'd be a good,
Did everybody agree?
which part exactly?
So he owns this part, and this is the city part that, and then what I don't understand is you can see the road right of way here and here. And here, it's like it was vacated here, but not up here, and that's what I'm curious to know if that's actually been vacated.
Yeah.
Cause you have that north part, Bob, according to my map, now I'm not saying. So you can see the road right of way through here, but like, it looks like you own this part, but this part is still considered road right of way.
No,
That's
No,
north.
no, that's Quincy,
Street.
yeah.
So the ditch goes down through here. I own
You own this part, but see the road right of way comes to here.
over here.
If the road was vacated, correct, yeah. But it looks like it's already been vacated here, cause it looks like you own to the middle of North Street. Well, and I'm not saying that my map's correct, but that's the way it looks, but this is still, so I'm curious if that's been vacated.
I thought last part we were talking about this triangle.
We are, but like I said, I'm just looking at,
Yeah, I own this.
here's the right of way,
I own
these
this.
are
This
which
is,
lines,
this
and
is
so,
storage units over here.
I own this right
Yeah.
here,
Mhm.
to the street.
mm-hmm,
And
So, see, this is the road right
this
of way.
is the property that,
and, but he owns to here, so it's only the right of way on this side.
this,
See what I'm saying?
this
Like,
right
I
away,
don't,
this right away here.
it's almost like it's been vacated, but not all of it.
And I wanna get this, and I would take that, if this was cleaned up right here. There's a pile of stuff I can't get my mowers around from there, and that's a hole there where that old lift station was. There's 2 or 3 holes that you step off in for fall outside.
Yeah.
So if that was cleaned up, then that pile of stuff there, and you guys have all the right of way you want, access you want to clean the ditches.
The only part that I, when I was looking at is that drainage.
Well, that's my
There,
concern.
it
Do we need
goes
to-
right through the middle of it.
Still expecting us to take care of that.
Well, and you got a big pile of gravel right there, basically from Quincy, washing
And I
it
think
down
you would
there.
need that,
Yeah,
If it was leveled off, I could take care of the rest, I could. And you can get in there, use the ditch, or use my property, get in and clean the ditches out, whatever, but And if they need to pile on there, they can pile it on there and then haul it on.
But you're not gonna maintain the ditch? Or would you?
Not the
maintain-
ditch itself, no.
And
I've
that's
got
why I
no
don't
way,
know if we
I've got
take
no
that
way.
off, then it's no longer our property. About us maintaining it, and, you know,
Well, the ditch down
back
there,
behind, you're talking back behind.
yeah, all the way down through there.
Mm-hmm.
That's natural drainage, so I've got, I have no way of getting in there to clean it out. I got no equipment to clean it out.
So let me ask you this. So that corner of North and Quincy, at times, we talked about this last month, the times when it floods, when it rains and it floods. Are you envisioning, taking care of that to the point where that would be less of a problem? You're never gonna take it away, but would it be less of a problem than what we've experienced in the last
As
10
long as the
years?
ditch is cleaned out, it don't flood so well, so much. As long as that ditch is maintained, cleaned out.
And I'm asking that because I probably need to abstain from whatever we decide, because I have a vested interest and I have a business right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably wise if I just say whatever y'all decide.
Yeah.
The issue is that the city's responsibility for that ditch.
Right.
If we deed it to them. And my question would be, if we wanna entertain, if the city's looking at selling property, Jen, would we have to put that out? Advertise it probably? I mean, that would be a legal question that we'd have to get Lauren involved of how we, if we're deciding to get rid of property, that it's made available or notices given, would be my other concern on that.
I think that would be a great question for Lauren before we make any decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we have to table it till we talk to Lauren.
Yeah, unless we called her. See if
I
she
know,
can
I've been maintaining that west half of that
Yeah, you can help them road.
all the time. I'm not going across over there with, cause the mower, I mean, it's not feasible to go with my mower over there, where the property is.
Yeah.
So I've been maintaining it, so I'll continue to maintain it, just keep the weeds out of my yard.
Yeah.
The question too is, we still need to probably do a better job cleaning that out right now,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Yeah.
But the ditch has had trees fall across it, and I have taken the trees out of that ditch, but there's still, what's dammed up when the trees fell is still in there.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way along the railroad track there. So, like I say, I've got no means of getting in there and clean that out, so.
Okay.
But well, I was understanding before you was worried about the access to the ditch, which you would have access through the ditch, through the drainage ditch.
I think there's something.
I mean, that would be
Doesn't that?
your access going into the ditch, clean it out.
That would drain down to the, cause the river's gonna be this way, right? So it probably drains on. You're right here? No.
I text her, hopefully she's on it.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Well, I think for one, we need to check with Lauren to make sure if we are wanting to sell it, that we do it the legal way. If you guys are thinking,
We're gonna find out.
yeah,
Wouldn't have a problem selling it, but yeah, we've gotta, if the guy's gonna do it, you need to do it right.
yeah. Let's check with Lauren. And I apologize,
We'll figure
I
out.
mean, she's been here through the discussion, but I'm like,
What was this?
see, I think that's part of the, right, if you look at where the so the yellow line's the center of the
Yeah.
road. So you look up there with David Stewart unit, there, you can see his property line, but Bob's property line's clear to the center of the road, so it, I don't know if my map is wrong, or if it's been vacated and that, this other part would be city property, you know?
And that's, this right here is what
That'd
we've
be
been
the
mowing.
north half of North Street, so if the south half is vacated, I would assume the north half would be vacated.
Just looking at the big picture of it, that one line don't make any sense.
Oh.
No,
Can you check on that?
Yeah. Yep, I can do that. All right, we'll do some more checking. Sorry, Bob.
Need a little more time, Bob.
Alright,
Property cleanup. Did you get pictures? Thanks, Bob.
yeah,
Have a good evening.
I got a few, you can kinda see in the back, the car's blocking a little bit, but you can still see the stuff in front of it. That's what she was just talking about.
Okay. Did we not already have a letter off this one earlier?
We did, that's the West Webster, right?
Yes.
So we did, and remember, it actually got scheduled for court, and then the owner had health issues when he was in the hospital, and so we had to dismiss it, because we couldn't give them due process. And so, we
You have
did
to
start.
dismiss it and not just put it on pause, or whatever you wanna call it, a legal term, whatever.
No, it was, correct, it was dismissed, right?
Right,
Yeah.
it was dismissed.
She dismissed it, or we dismissed it?
Lauren dismissed it,
Lauren did.
yeah, because of,
Due to health reasons.
yeah. Yeah, this doesn't even do it justice.
No. So this one's the 703 South Branch, that's the picture that's passed around the last time. This is the picture as of today. And I don't even know where we're at on that one.
It did change ownership, so we have a new owner now, so.
It's different owner than the guy that came in earlier and said he's gonna do something with it. Remember that guy that came in here and said he's gonna have it all cleaned up? This was a few months ago.
Wasn't that a different property?
That was a different project,
Was it?
yeah.
Younger kid?
Yeah, you're talking college, that was up on East Third, that's the only person I remember coming in. I came in, might have that special meeting, is that the one?
Must
When
be,
we had
yeah.
the,
Yeah, this is the guy that got incarcerated.
Right.
they got,
His sister's got it.
yeah,
now.
he got deeded to the sister, so,
Did.
yes. And it's, other than the trailer, the
But-
camper trailer moved today,
Since
it's,
it got deeded to it, is there not like an easement already on that deed? So you know, like if you bought something and there's already something wrong with it, how can somebody come in there and buy it? You know? Is that?
There's no technically no legal claim.
it's a claim deed, if I remember.
So how do we do
it's
that
as
next
is.
time now? How do we make it so it, an easement, or I don't know what you wanna call it, but basically where there's
A
something.
lien on it,
Lien on
basically,
it.
is what you're just saying, I don't know that you can do that with property cleanup, if it would change hands, you'd have to start over with a new owner.
Even though we got money tied into legal stuff, you can't put a lien on it? I thought-
Well, and actually, if it actually got to court and they were fined, then yes, obviously they would be found guilty or innocent. So if it would actually go to court, then there would still possibly be judgment because they were in default.
And that one has a note on it that they're waiting on certain stuff, I just seen it like that.
Oh,
But that's,
was that my note?
yeah,
Just
it's
to-
right on the POA, so,
Yeah, just ignore that, that was my notes from that one meeting.
yeah, I mean,
So how do we move on now and get to court? Basically. Without,
I think you would have to go back to, then you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd have to go back, sending a letter out, doing the waiting period, then going to court with it. if
Yeah,
nothing's-
so
So it's kinda
basically-
like resetting, as long as I'm
Yeah,
sick, or
start
as
over.
long as I buy the property, I keep changing hands. Seems like to be the thing that they're doing, just keep changing.
well, I
Yes.
mean, by the time we give them notice, they have 15 days, and they don't have cleanup in 15 days there.
Right, but how long did we give them last time?
It's 15 for cleanup, it's, right? 30 for condemnation.
Right, I thought that we didn't give any, after the 15 days we gave the first time, there was no citation, no nothing on
The
that.
first one, the original owner did go to court and was found guilty.
Okay, but nothing happened, right?
Yeah, she was found guilty.
You got
So here's the thing, they can be found guilty,
puzzle.
but if they choose not to clean it up, then you're right, we have to start over. And then the pictures that Dan presented, all the stuff got returned because all we had was a POA, and it didn't even it got returned, but she never picked up the letter. It's certified return receipt. So, so then we didn't have any way to get hold of her because we didn't know if we had an address issue, if she chose not to pick it up.
And then I had visited with Cody because, was that last meeting? Probably not last meeting. Probably December, maybe. Lauren had looked it up on the property on River Street, that we could serve them
Yeah.
via telephone if we can't get them by mail. So I visited with Cody about reaching out to the then current owner that was incarcerated about setting up a phone conference so we could let him know he was in violation. And since that, now it's been deeded to someone else.
What's that address again?
703 South Francis.
So how do you move on so that this doesn't happen again?
So we can't stop anybody from deeding their property, but
It
we
seems like a
can
little
issue,
loophole
we can issue a a letter that they're in violation and they have, if it's general property cleanup, then it's 15 days, if that's what you
So-
wanna do.
Would you make your while though, you said something started over, what were you saying?
Well, one of the owners of the property actually got cited and had to come to court and got fined.
Yes.
But then the property got deeded to a family member.
And then became incarcerated.
Yes,
And the sister was a POA and she wasn't,
yeah.
her mail got returned because we tried to serve her. And so
But
it's
after
just
the
been
person got fined, it did start to get cleaned up.
Yes, they did work on it.
They did work on cleaning it up, then it got bad again.
I was just thinking, okay, so if we're taking the court and they're found guilty, they get fined, then it doesn't, according to our ordinance, it doesn't just automatically start over from that point, does it? Until it's actually cleaned up?
It's every day, there's a per day
Right, but
fine.
it's
Why
already been to court. It just seems like it's already been to court, found guilty, it's just like, well, how can you just change hands when there's something wrong with it? I mean,
But they got it
Yes.
cleaned up enough that it passed.
Yeah.
In the very first time that it got a property cleanup. They
This
worked on
was
it
a
enough
long
to,
time ago.
yeah, this was years ago.
right, but it
Yeah.
just seemed like,
Well, it's no different than 616 South Denison. I mean, we've taken that one to court and they've been found guilty and then it gets worse again and then we issue the letter again. I mean, sometimes it's an ongoing issue with some houses. I mean, you just don't ever.
Are there people living in them? Are there people living in these too?
I don't believe in the house,
Not that we know of.
right, not that we're aware of.
Maybe. I don't know how it would work, but, if, to avoid that in the future, person, if they've got a fine on, put a lien on the property, they can't sell it with the lien.
that's what I'm trying to figure out,
I
how
don't know
to
that we
lean
can
on that
make
thing,
That would be
so
a
this
law.
didn't happen again.
That would be a
That'd be a law
question
question,
for
'cause I
Laura.
don't know that you can put a lien on it.
But,
Because
if a person does work on a person's house, the person doesn't wanna pay that person that did work on the house, they can put a mechanics lien on that house, they can't sell that house.
All I know, cause I don't know the legal technicalities, but all I know is, what it sounds like to me is, if somebody wants to clean it up to get the city off their back, clean it up just enough to get the city off their back, then they can start that slippery slope again.
Yeah.
And so what's the definition of insanity?
Yeah, well,
And so, and then you gotta put up with this crap
I
on
just say,
a
right,
continual
okay,
basis.
I'll give you the definition.
So,
David, there's property, I don't even remember when I started for Mike Day back in the early 2000s, and there's houses.
are you serious?
There are houses that are still problem ones that I dealt with way back when I worked for Mike as the city attorney.
It
25
seems like
years ago.
something needs to change with that, I
I
mean,
think so too.
Well,
And
and
if
this,
I was one of those people, I wouldn't change my behavior either.
No, I mean, we also not a family kind of just keep it.
Right.
well, and this property also got bad because somebody moved into it. They brought a lease to City Hall, put utilities in their name. They started cleaning it out, hence the stuff on the front porch. Then they weren't supposed to be there. That's why we have the whole new procedure on landlord stuff. So, it did look better.
Cause they did get it cleaned up there
Uh-huh.
for a while.
Yeah,
After
it's-
the initial
Yeah.
property cleanup, they did get it cleaned up, and then it got worse again.
It's been a series of unfortunate events at that place. That's all I have to say about that.
Right.
So that being said, are we okay with going forward on letters on the two properties?
I think so.
General
But
property.
you, how long can you do, wait till condemnation,
Well, you'd have to have.
or eminent domain, or whatever you wanna use?
You'd have to have just cause if you think it's
It's a
condemnable.
hazard, for sure.
Exterior, we don't know about the interior. You're probably right, but. What do you have to do to get to that?
Well, how about just get like a fire marshal to go in there and look at it?
Well, instead of doing a general property cleanup, you would, would you do both, probably both, wouldn't you? Cause the property cleanup is, the issue is the stuff outside, and then there would be question as to the safety of that structure itself. I mean, I think you'd almost wanna do both, because you've got the junk in the yard, that's property cleanup, but then it's a question of whether or not the house is, I think you would want to do both, and that would be a boring question. Cause just the general property cleanup would be,
So, let me backtrack up. So you've been dealing with one since '06. Correct?
just possibly down that, yeah, still come up into discussion that was dealt with in the early two
If you
thousands.
had to surmise or guesstimate the amount of money the city has put out fighting these since '06, thousands?
I wouldn't have it,
Or, yeah, I don't know.
you know, cause
How do you
the
quantify
ones is,
that?
you know, it's overgrown with trees that, you know, the city forces them to cut down the trees, or they put on a roof, or, you know what I mean, it's just,
Do enough to get by.
yeah, but then they just let it slide, and then they,
Like, we were talking about, you know, an 85-year-old woman who just can't do much, that's a whole different story.
but habitual ones that,
Right.
well, 616 South Denison, how long have we been dealing with that? You guys on the board, like, and it just is repeat, so.
Are we dealing with that one when you came up?
Yeah,
I was just saying, actually, the person that got fined for it was probably some girl,
yeah, it was.
so.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spend time looking at
No.
this, but
I may have been, yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't been superintendent very long.
I thought it was.
Yeah, so it's been. So. We'll move forward on, so do you want condemnation on 7?
I wanna, yeah. I want some teeth on this thing, 'cause
so
But what do you have to do to get to that point? I mean, how do you proceed to get it checked
That's a
out?
lawyer question, I would imagine.
It's a letter, just like the property cleanup, but I believe they have 30 days to remedy and or ask for a hearing with the city as opposed to 15 with general property cleanup.
I'm not well versed in it, cause I don't
But I
normally
think you
do
gotta
it.
give them a chance to fix it.
Yeah. Well, basically that 30, I think condemnation's 30 days to, obviously they can schedule, respond and say, hey, cause we have went and looked at properties. Dan and I have looked at,
I don't
2 or
know,
3
I looked
since-
at this one.
have you been inside the ones you looked at?
yeah, Dan and I have done it, well, the one, but the Howard one we did not go in,
I don't remember that.
up on East Third,
Oh, yeah, okay.
we didn't go in that one.
We
but-
looked in the window.
Yeah, the one on Adams we did go through,
Mhm.
so. Okay, well, I'll check with Lauren to see about condemnation, and we'll either go property cleanup and or condemnation and or both, depending on how we address that.
So for now, just a property cleanup letter to 412 West Webster,
To both of them,
or to both?
to both West Webster and 703 South Grand.
Okay.
But if Lauren, or if she says we can go about the 703 South Grand,
Okay.
whether it's property cleanup and or condemnation. So.
Okay.
Anything else property cleanup? Do we know when the other three that got citations are scheduled for court?
I want to say March 12th, I think.
So this next month?
Yeah.
Is that including the, I think it's 203 street, is that Webster? No,
Emerson.
Emerson.
They should all be the same court date, it's my understanding.
The reason I was asking was that last windstorm, about half his junk ended up in neighbors' yards.
They were down there cleaning the other day too. They're down there in the dump truck. throwing
That was
stuff
one
out.
of them, and I don't remember.
616 and,
Got a vehicle sitting there that was last tagged in 2003,
2003,
sitting on the street.
yeah,
And
that
that's
would've been a code.
Yeah, that's something sheriff would have to handle. Cause that's not a property cleanup, that's abandoned vehicle
Mhm.
probably.
Yeah. There's Emerson and Dennison and Dennison.
yes, the 500 block of Denison, whatever that was.
Projects pending. Anything on that? Sound system, are we good about it, or are we crossing that off the list?
I'm sorry.
The sound system, are we a done deal on it? Can we cross it off our list, or?
No, because it's not really working really good right
Can you get more microphones?
now. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cause I can hear her really good. Right here.
I still can't.
I thought I can't hear, I don't know, maybe it's just the way the face, but I
I've been
can't hear
scared to
that one.
reach over there and turn it up too much so I don't blow the windows out, so I don't wanna reverb it back, so I'm trying to be a little, I was gonna reach over and turn his up a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yep, now I can.
So maybe we're not
Close enough?
close enough.
Are these omnidirectional or unidirectional?
They're omnidirectional, but, I don't have them turned up very much. I've got them really kinda subdued, trying to keep first round here of not reverbing it out of the building.
Yeah.
And so,
Have you been able to hear stuff?
What's that?
Have you been able to hear stuff?
For the most part, yeah.
You're right,
No,
I can hear Jim very clearly too.
Yeah,
What are you
actually,
saying?
I'm not hearing out of the speakers, so I've turned up my hearing
no.
aids.
Yeah, that, actually out of the speakers, I've only heard her once, and she kinda leaned over here, and then I could hear her.
Well, it must be turned up over here
Yeah,
then,
'cause
cause
I
I can
can't-
hear every time she talks
Yeah.
over here.
Right.
And like I said, I've got them turned down pretty subdued, just to make sure we didn't reverb until it got a little quiet.
Just keep playing with it, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll hold it in.
but, I think I've got the right general direction. I can just,
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
so, I actually, just before this, I finally found an 8 mic system, that I'm gonna go ahead and order and look at it. And, but, cause where I'm getting these, if they don't work out, I can send them back. So I'm just, but I know we need at least 8 mics, but I'm wanting to get 8 mics on one system and get, because this is a dual system, so I can put another set of mics for out here for our public. So we can turn them on if we have people we want to have them. And so that's what I'm working at, but I'm also trying to work on a budget if I just wanted to just buy one, I could get it done, but I'm getting penny pinching. So,
Anything else, projects pending? Street project?
I do have B and H scheduled to come out and do crack seal, like the weekend, 16th of March. Roughly. They're gonna start at the high school, work their way down. That street.
that's what I'm trying
See where
not
we
to do.
go.
I can hear this one. Now I can't hear anything, so.
Do, how long until you need to get rock to do some,
We just need to start thinking about what we wanna chip seal.
Cause if he comes out there and then we can kinda have some streets
Yeah,
down there, when he comes out there so he can go look and see too.
yeah.
Didn't we set, was it 15,000 aside for crack seal?
Yes.
We did 20.
I thought it was
20? Yeah.
Yeah, what's 20?
So we can pick up some other streets if we don't run out of money.
The crack seal.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna do
Chip
crack,
seal.
and then he's talking chip seal,
Right.
so,
Well, I know we talked about a couple streets north to south.
well, we need to chip all the stuff we done 2 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
And some of them are already cracking at the manholes, I don't, everywhere they poured the diamonds around the manholes, they crack curb to curb.
Really?
So we'll probably go crack seal all of them before we do the chip.
Is there any way we can meet this week?
Towards the end of the week, yeah.
Okay. I was just trying to get our plan, so when he comes out here, we can kind of be on the same page.
Yeah, I did talk to him, and scheduled the crack, he wasn't too worried about it yet.
Okay.
Cause I said, I gotta remember how to figure the rock, and he said he can help me with it if we need to, so.
And we were able to get rock?
That'll be nice. I mean, I need to call and find out, yeah.
Okay.
I assume you won't go with that. I think we had half inch last year.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Did he
half inch
recommend
was
half
okay.
or 3/4?
Not any difference.
Did what he said,
Okay.
so.
3/4 getting pretty big for them.
3/4's gonna make the street last longer.
If we don't lose it all.
Cause we used to get really little stuff that floats away. We didn't need the real rock, I don't think. Yeah, that's all I have on the streets right now.
Okay.
Other than we did, another guy's gonna get some chip sealing today. Another guy between the bank.
I saw that.
And I did go talk to Brock today on the streets, and he's gonna look at, well, your intersection and all the way up and down that B. We're gonna look at how much we can do there. And then we're gonna.
On Spencer?
Mhm. And then we're gonna look over here by the school, Spencer, that block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the
That
east,
at the
east.
bank, that bank, he's gonna, we looked at it today, we decided just to price the whole intersection, or we can narrow it down to whatever.
Yeah, I was looking at Spencer's, like, is that Quincy and Spencer right there that starts to go, there's a big hole right there. Is that
Yeah,
one part?
it's down the rebar, so,
That's bad.
so I got him looking at doing that completely.
Are we thinking about anything done towards the very end?
And clear down at the very end where it goes
Yeah.
off down into the river is pretty
When
bad
it's
too.
chipped out. There's, 6 or 8 places where we take about 2, 3 sections out, or look at taking them out and doing it, depending on what the price is, what you guys think. He's gonna get prices together, and then we can decide whether we need to start that.
Well, we need to lock him down sooner than later.
Yeah.
Good.
He knows.
Where's that? Oh, that's,
Where's that one at?
Actually, Brock said he would be good, even if you guys,
That looks familiar.
Yep.
like, decide a figure
That's a trick.
of what you wanna do per year, or whatever, and then he knows,
right,
so.
that's kinda what he
we did briefly talk about like doing a whole block of concrete just to see. Roughly comes up 40 feet wide, 350 feet long would be 140,000.
How deep?
I'm assuming 8 inches, but I didn't ask him.
I was talking to a business owner today, he was asking when we were gonna lay new asphalt on the corner of North and Quincy there.
New asphalt?
See what happens when you,
I can't hear anything.
I may have been talking to myself, sorry.
Now I'm more deaf than Bud was. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
As I say, we'd have to start with laying the
There's a-
first layer of asphalt.
Yeah.
There's a drainage ditch down there for sale,
Oh,
maybe,
that's
maybe
right,
he should
yeah.
buy that, yeah.
You know, we concrete that ditch, maybe we should come down on the street. Anyway, that's all on streets that I think of.
Visitor Sherry, you have anything for us? Any words of wisdom?
and crazier next week.
Superintendent report, might as well find going.
Seriously? Okay, well, Cody addressed the theft of service that we had. Basically, they stuck copper wire in the meter socket. So, the only way they're getting power now is to climb the pole, cause we cut a pole.
Where was this at?
Same, same.
Do you know about how long that they had been doing that?
2 weeks since they noticed it, before it got cut, but before they noticed it, I don't know
Yeah.
how long it had been.
I don't know either. I mean, our guys take pictures of it and stuff, so, just because,
But that was a week ago, right?
yes. So, yeah, it was on until Friday, and then I called Cody Friday and said, well, I talked to you, I said, I told him we gotta get this shut off, over and over.
And we know who did it.
No, we do not. All we know is that camper had power in it when you drive by there at night, but in some ways it's pretty brave, I mean, that's, so,
Another word I could use.
yeah. Well, yeah, you don't want me to go there, so anyways. But, yeah, we kinda come up with a rough figure, of the way I figured it. I guess I don't know how much I can say until Cody does all of his stuff. I'm gonna try by next meeting, no, I am going to by next meeting get a material list put together for wards, so we can get that stuff covered, one way or the other. I know last time I talked about the power plant, I was just gonna bring it up again real quick, cause I got to thinking after I left here, I went back and looked at some stuff from way back when. So if you, 9 and the 12 cylinder, even if we have them both running, we can't run them for more than about an hour, they start water from each other, so. Another thing you guys think about whether you wanna move to new, something different as generation, not generate, keep what we have and just hope for the best, you know. I mean, there's a lot to maintaining that power plant for no more than we really use it or get
Are
out
there
of it.
cities that you know of that have gotten completely away from it, using their own power plant?
Norton did, I know. In fact, when they decided,
Well, but they got prairie land right there.
well, they do, but they still, their city used to have a power plant there. And when they went to one of the scrubbers put on the engines, they just shut the doors. And generally reading some stuff tonight, like Bird City's little power plant, is Midwest is shutting a bunch of theirs down.
Midwest had a good post on Facebook today about shutting down basically power
I'm not
plants.
saying we should or
Right.
shouldn't, I'm just saying there is a lot
Right.
of maintenance going into the
Oh,
power
yeah.
plant.
What one we realize probably.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know what the gas bill runs down there, but that boiler runs 24/7.
Yeah.
So. Keeps
Thanks
water
to-
125 degrees, so,
Things to think about.
I mean, it is something to think about, and then maybe we need to start looking toward what a standalone would cost.
One
You
standalone.
know, I mean, you might be just as good with one standalone as for the megawatts as what we have right now, and maybe less to do.
Maintenance.
What about the roof and all that stuff, what we got?
I need to get
Bids on
them,
that?
I need to get them in here still, I just haven't. I don't know where we're at on the insurance and stuff. So,
While we're pondering the power plant, the water tower,
oh,
Justin told me that it was put up in 1928 and the manufacturer said it had a 100-year life. So while you're pondering what to do with the power
There you
plant, think about the water tower as well, because we're probably getting towards the end of its life. Now, how much?
We got 2 more years.
It might last,
Maybe
longer than the
5.
manufacturer anticipated, but
Well,
that's been kind of my
it's gonna
concern.
have to last longer because all the antennas are gonna hold it
That's
up.
right. That or
There's gonna
the,
be too much cable going up, it'll never fall down.
the bird droppings will,
No.
filled in all the cracks.
It's reinforced.
That's
All the way
right.
down, yeah.
So, sorry, Dan, I just thought I'd throw that in, food for thought,
no,
since
that's,
that's
yeah,
been,
that's a good idea, you brought it
things-
up, and I forgot to write it down.
Maybe we need to look into a whole different location, power plant and.
so the talk, I mean, with the water tower is out south of town, there's enough,
Right.
enough elevation that we would go away from an actual tower and just
How
put,
old is the power plant?
How old?
Yeah, before 33.
you know,
It's,
We know where the flood of 34 hit on them.
I'm just saying, it's like, the cost of that was just one big facility.
well, I did talk to the guy, or Sean Barrett with Ward today, and asked him if he knew if they did anything with substation, stuff like that, and he wasn't sure that they, like as far as testing all that switch gear, he wasn't sure they did any of that, so. We're still in the process of figuring out who's gonna test that. I'm thinking maybe Mid-States possibly might do it, I don't know if they still do it or not, but. And then like your big transformer across the street down there, how old's it? Been there since I've been here. I know we used to have it looked at once in a while, then just kinda, for some reason, we haven't had to look at it for a while. That comes back on me as much as anybody probably. Haven't thought a lot about it until all of a sudden one day I'm like, why don't we have that done anymore, you know?
yeah.
But anyway, that's all I really have. I'm gonna be off tomorrow, but I do have Ray Land on standby if they're needed. That's it.
Any questions for Dan? If not, is there a motion to accept and file the superintendent report?
So moved.
Moved by David, second by Larry, all in favor? Treasurer slash clerk report, maybe the last treasurer slash clerk report.
I hope it is. And the only thing I have to report is I will also be gone tomorrow. So any follow-up from the council meeting will have to be done Wednesday.
When does the clerk start?
Wednesday.
So I guess, wow, you mentioned that. I'll bring up the one note that I had. Do we wanna go ahead and make that appointment for her to start on Wednesday? That way she's appointed the city clerk when she starts.
I'm sorry.
To make the appointment on the new hire, if we wanna go ahead and make that appointment tonight, that way when she starts, she'll
I was
already be.
gonna ask you about that, yeah.
All the paperwork's good and everything, I guess, before?
Yep, I think so.
I'd say yes.
Okay, is that a motion?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Moved by David and second by Bud to appoint Jamie Crable as the city clerk when she starts on Wednesday. So, all in favor? Okay. And I guess is there a motion to accept and file the treasurer clerk report unless somebody has something else for Jen? Motion?
So moved.
Moved by David, second by Bud, all in favor? Council comments, Bud.
Well, I guess I'm gonna go to Topeka on the 11th. I'm gonna talk to some more people about the size of the road up there. And, I'm got an appointment with, Adams,
Adam Smith?
yeah. I got an appointment with him on the 11th. And, it sounds like, well, I guess, Chris already showed some things for sheriff deal, but he's also, talking about, talking to the new head of the road department, or the new person. And he's gonna go talk to them and put in a resolution to try to get them to get off their butt and do something. And so that's what we're gonna talk to him about when I go out to Topeka. So, and other than that, I guess you heard the sound system, so.
David?
I went yesterday, got on the docket for the, commissioners meeting on Friday, this Friday, I'm gonna be there at 9:30. And one of the things I wanna talk to them about is what I brought up I think my first meeting back is, I'd like to see us once a quarter get together and brainstorm, maybe come together and try to resolve some issues for our constituents, both county and city. When I was talking to Sharissa, getting on the docket, she had the idea, she said, I think it'd be good if one or two of you guys could come to commission meeting and one or two of the other guys come to your meeting. I don't know how that plays out, I don't know how technically if that's even possible.
We used to do it back when Terry Riger was a commissioner. I remember Scott and maybe Roger and I going to some commissioner meetings every couple of months and vice versa, they'd come over here. So we used to do it. It just,
So it's nothing legally,
as long as they don't have quorum or we have quorum and you're not discussing city business.
right,
If you're just there in general to what we can do to work together.
right.
And I don't know, hopefully, we'll have a deed for the parks, I would hope Friday. I think they're in the works of getting that done.
So I don't know, do you guys think this is a good idea or something to pursue, or?
I think so. Brett Poland mentioned something about it to me when I was in getting my back adjusted a week or two ago.
Okay.
And, yeah, I thought it sounded like a good idea then also. So.
I just thought maybe if there's a way we can, lines of communication in and of itself would be nice to just, you know, have an open line of communication between the two entities and working together. I don't wanna try to put a square peg in a round hole, but at the same time, if we could find ways to work together and find ways to, at least minimize issues before they happen, I think it'd be good, so.
Larry,
Um,
David, Justin?
I don't know.
I don't have anything. We're a motion to adjourn.
so,
Moved by Randy, second by Dave.
I thought the motion was to
I
stand
know.
up.
Randy, I guess is new, he doesn't know that the motion is to stand.
you have to stand up.
The first person to stand up is the motion.
That is most